Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the 11th episode of Game Changers podcast. This is the first episode of this podcast, which is going to be international. I have a guest from UK, from United Kingdom, England, special guest, Paul Stewart. Welcome you, Paul. Mr. Stewart, thank you for accepting my request for this interview, and thank you for being here with us tonight.
Thank you.
Just about the podcast and about myself a bit. My name is Sabi, and as I mentioned, this is the 11th episode of the Game Changer podcast. This is the first episode which is going to be international. We're going to have more international guests in the future. I started this podcast to inform and entertain and educate people who are generally interested in sports, or they are professionals or athletes from the sports world. And I would like to talk and have an interview with many people as possible from the sports world, from Hungary, from all around the world, because I feel that there are certain topics needs to be covered and needs to be heard, and that's why we are here today. So again, Mr. Stewart, dear Paul, thank you for accepting this request from mine. And for those of you who don't know you, let me just introduce you let me introduce you. You are a former professional footballer, played for such a teams like Tottenham, Liverpool, Man City, Crystal Palace, the national team. You are also a public and corporate speaker now, because you are an advocate for safeguarding, which we are here today. The main topic is we're going to talk about safeguarding. And you are also an author of a book called Damaged. So again, welcome, and thanks for accepting, and thanks for being here with us tonight.
My pleasure.
So let's start. Our main topic tonight is safeguarding, and but let's start from your career, because you played on such a high level for those big clubs. And I never really had the chance to talk I played football as well by myself, but I never had a chance to interview such a footballer like yourself. And I just would like to know that how did it feel like, playing in such a high level with such a names like Paul Gascoigne or Gary Lineker, playing in the FA Cup final, scoring a goal, winning the title. You guys seemed like you were really unbeatable together. How did it feel?
Yeah. To be honest with you, Sabi, ever since I could walk, I wanted to be a footballer. And I know it's every young boy's and girl's dream now these days, but I grew up in a poverty-stricken area of Manchester, and your only dream was to be a footballer. Ever since I could walk, I wanted to be a footballer. I achieved what I would say was my dream, with exactly what you say. If somebody told me I scored in a cup final when I was a young boy, I would have said, "Oh, that's all I ever want." If somebody had said you would play for the international team, I would have said that's all I ever want. Unfortunately, because of my experiences through that process, I never enjoyed it, and I was never able to enjoy it because of what happened to me as a youngster. I still had that motivation, that desire to be a footballer, but you know, in the background there was issues, and I was unable to enjoy it like I think I should have been able to enjoy it. And that is the sad really point of our discussion here, because as you just said, you know, Man City, Liverpool, Tottenham, Gary Lineker, Paul Gascoigne, you know, Ian Rush, John Barnes, you know, the list is endless.
Yeah.
I know they enjoyed it, but unfortunately for me, it was sort of it was masked by problems mentally, and I was unable to just you know enjoy the moment. On the face of it, I looked like I did. In the background, there was so much going on. It was really devastating.
Let us come back to this. Let's hold on for a second in here, because obviously this is our main topic, but I really want you to remember first that how was that, you know, I seen some of your goals on YouTube, because when you played on that level, or for those clubs, I was a young kid, so I was barely seeing some of your games, you know. and but I checked your goals on YouTube, and some of them was like, wow, you know, like amazing. For you, which one was, as far as you remember, which one was your favorite one, or your most memorable one that you, is it one that you scored?
No. I guess the cup final equaliser against Nottingham Forest at Wembley. And just referring back to what I said, you know, as a boy growing up, this was when the FA Cup was a really a trophy that everybody wanted to play and win in. And I know that you know, in today's game, the FA Cup has been sort of disrespected in terms of the big clubs. It isn't as important. But we didn't have the Champions League. I know we had the European Cup and we had the Europa Cup, but they weren't as a youngster growing up something you inspired or aspired to play in. And for me, it was one day I want to play in that FA Cup final. I want to be, you know, because over in the UK back then, you know, the build up and everything, it was almost like the best competition you could win in the world, even more than winning the league, because that one day was so special. So to realize that dream, don't get me wrong, was something special. I would have, and I know, and excuse me for keep referring back to it, I would have loved to enjoyed it as much as my colleagues did, because it was an achievement that I would aspired to do.
So yeah, and we were, I mean, again, respect for what you have achieved in terms of within your career. However, I know your story. I heard it first when I first heard it. We were in Krakow, Poland, in the All About Football conference, and what hit me there while I was listening to your story, that you had a wonderful career, but you did not enjoy at all. And I was like, because I did coach in the UK. I'm a level 1 football coach, so I know people were like, you know, and clubs should take it really serious. And I know that is something serious over there compared to Hungary. And when you first came, I mean, sorry, but I was like, okay, it's going to be a session about, you know, safeguarding, you know, I don't know what to expect, you know. I was like, you're going to tell us the rules and, you know, all the general stuff. And when I heard that I have a story, and I have a career, I had a career, and I didn't enjoy that at all, I was like, what, you know, like, And then I started to really listen, and your story really hit me, and really I could resonate with it, because some certain things happened in my life that happened into your lives. But so yeah, it was really a powerful moment. So that's why I wanted to invite you, because it's such an important topic.
I think, and you're quite right saying that. And you know, when I came over to Poland, I spoke to the sports minister. I spoke to many people that were at the top of the game in terms of making decisions, and safeguarding was, you know, safeguarding doesn't exist. You know, and unfortunately, what we do is, not just in the UK, but as countries, we, rather than face it as an issue, rather than face what really happens as an issue, we brush it under the carpet, and then we will go, it doesn't happen in our country. It doesn't happen, you know, in our club. It doesn't happen in our football association. And unfortunately, that's when you become really vulnerable, because individuals will recognize that. They will infiltrate because they know that there are no procedures in place. And what I liked about the conference in Poland was people wanted to take on board what you were saying. They wanted to make change, and and that's why I get up every day, every morning, and listen. I have to relive my childhood experiences, and I say this wherever I go, but I will relive my childhood experiences and let people know the cold, hard truth. If I think I'm saving one child from going through the experiences I went through. So for me now, I will always love football. Football, football, do you know what? It made me a victim, as my book says, but it saved my life. But now I have a different vocation, and my vocation is, and I talk to the youngsters that are coming through now, and I say to them, do you know what? Just enjoy the moment. If you've got an issue, talk to somebody, because there are people now that you can talk to. When I came through the football pyramid, if you will, they didn't have anyone there that you could talk to. If you had an issue, there was nobody there that you could talk to. You know, many of these children that I speak to, they're in privileged positions where millions of young children would love to be. Do you know, they're with elite football clubs. I want them to enjoy it. I don't want them to regret.
Sure.
I don't want them to think, well, I wish I'd spoke to somebody. I want them to be able to express themselves, talk about the problems. It won't hamper their chances or stop their chances of progressing. And this is what's the most important thing about it all. It's not about Paul Stewart. It's about transcending that experience and making them understand that, you know what you can do? You can talk.
Sure.
Let's start a conversation. Let's talk, because that I always say that, you know, if any child or any individual is able to share their issues, or be able, or feel that they can talk, then if they're just thinking about the sport that they're doing, they're going to excel, rather than have something weighing on the shoulders that they need or believe they think they need to talk about. And I know that because I'm living proof of that.
So yeah, I mean, you're absolutely right. I mean, this is the topic what people needs to talk about in every level, not just in the professional environment, but especially in grassroots level, and not just in the UK, but also in many other countries. Because as I mentioned, I don't know not saying for a fact, but there's no such a thing, as far as I remember, because I haven't lived in Hungary for a while now. There's no such a thing called safeguarding
But you have to understand this also, Sabi. There was no such thing as safeguarding in the UK at one point. When I was growing up, coming through the football sort of ladder, there was nobody that had a duty of care. There was nobody there to say, do you know, have you got an issue and all that. So what you do is you keep it inside, and unfortunately, you keep something inside that's like eating away at you, then eventually it's going to go bang. And that, you know, I only realize that now. I'm 57 years of age. I realize now that that's what happened to me. It was something that I thought that I dealt with. Oh, I'll put it to the back of my mind. Nobody's there to talk to. Nobody would understand. So you end up thinking that you can deal with it. The truth is, you don't deal with it. You deal with it in ways like taking drugs, drinking, having, you know, relationship issues, not being able to share your feelings. And that's what I've realized now. But unfortunately, you know, it was too late to realize it when I was playing.
So we talk now a lot about you know, what should happen in the environment. So what is because I heard your story now. I know, I'm aware. I couldn't read your book because that they doesn't deliver. Amazon doesn't deliver to Poland for some reason. So, but I hope I can buy it somehow.
If you send me an address via email, I'll send you a book, because I've got copies here, and I'll be more than happy to
that wasn't the purpose of saying that. It wasn't the purpose of
No,
saying.
I know that, but I didn't know that, you know, Amazon deliver all over the world. I didn't know they don't do it.
No, they don't deliver to.
Okay.
I was.
Don't worry. We'll talk about that after we've done our cast.
Sure. So again, for someone who is just joining us for now, this is the first international episode of Game Changers, which is a podcast aiming to entertain and educate people all around the world who is interested in sports. And our special guest today is Mr. Paul Stewart, former professional footballer and advocate for safeguarding, and author of a book called Damaged. Thank you for being here with us tonight, Paul. So basically, we know the main topic, but many people may not know, which I wasn't aware of. What is your story? And I know that it can be really difficult to leave it through every single day and talk about it. And I don't want to force this, but
that's fine. Honestly,
I mean, because it's really, when I heard that first, I was like really shocked. You know, I was like, I could never imagine such a thing like this, you know, can happen, especially in England. I mean, and a professional, well, at that time it wasn't a professional environment yet, but you know, you were getting there. So what happened? Why we are talking about this safeguarding, and why we need to talk about this, and what is your story? What you can share to the people that they can learn and take away that, and maybe.
Well, you know, and I say this. I had a dream as a youngster. I had a dream to become a footballer.
I think many of us had.
Yeah, and these people, they realised that young footballers had dreams, and what they did, they perpetrated the abuse that they perpetrated, knowing that you had a dream, and they convinced you that what they were doing to you was right. They convinced you that if you said anything, that they would. And when you were a young boy at 10 years of age, when the abuse started happening to me, you believe when somebody says, I'll kill your mum and dad, I'll kill your brothers. You know, you're not. But I think the real thing that these people were able to hold over you is you thought that they had within their power to give or take away the only thing you ever wanted to be, which was a footballer. So they convinced you that what they were doing were right, because if you want to be a footballer, you have to do this. They then threatened to kill your parents and family. They become the nicest, most trusted person within your family unit. So your parents, your aunties, your brothers, and everybody, they don't really see that these people can do that, because they're very clever in the way that they manipulate those loved ones around you to isolate you. Now, I always say, you know, when I was told, and I genuinely believed that my abuser could give or take away the only thing I ever wanted to be, which was a footballer. And that was the reason that I accepted what was happening to me. But I was always, you know, I was frightened of him. In the car, when we were alone, he was a monster. Within the family unit, he was the nicest person you wish to meet. So why would my parents think that something's going wrong? What we need to realize now is, and we're talking in the mid-70s now, Sabi, what we need to realize now, and we often talk about children, we go, if someone's been, as a child, being disruptive, we call them naughty children, don't we? And we don't consider that there may be something happening in the background. All of a sudden, they come in an environment and they come from a background where they don't have the latest sportswear, they don't have the latest phone, they don't have the latest anything. Then all of a sudden, they're turning up and they've got all these gifts and all that. We have to realize.
Was it not strange to your parents that time that someone trying to be that nice to you and to your family?
Oh, he would convince my mum and dad that he was the person that could make me realize my dreams. Yeah. So why would they think? You know, if you ask my mum, all I ever said was, "I'm going to be a footballer. I'm going to be a footballer." Then you've got this coach, if you will, who comes and goes. I can make your son realize his dreams, and here's a new pair of football boots for him, which we couldn't afford as a family. You know, new football boots or new anything would have been a luxury. And then all of a sudden, you've got this nicest man in the world coming round saying, I can help your son realize his dreams. He's the best thing since whatever." But that was his way of gaining the trust of my family unit. But with me, he was a monster. I don't know whether that's the best way to explain it, but that's exactly, trying to say it, because I know that this is not it's not going to be transmitted in the English language, but I'm trying to make, and listen, these people exist all over the world. They exist in every sport. These people, they will now. Football has come together and gone, we're not allowing it. They'll go to another sport, Sabi. They'll go to gymnastics. They'll go to hockey. These people don't change. We can't cure them. So they will find an organisation where, they're not really good on the safeguarding side of things. They're vulnerable. I'll go in. They become the most trusted person, the nicest person, and everybody trusts them. And that's when it's too late, because then they can wreak absolute havoc through that organisation, because they are. Do you know? I always say we have this misconception that they are dirty old men in rain mats and what the media profess them to be. Do you know what? They're totally the opposite. They're the nicest people you wish to meet.
That's very interesting, and thanks for sharing. I mean, I really hope that people who can listen, they will take, especially parents or coaches or the right people who need to hear this message of yours, or they heard it before, they're gonna take the right action to avoid as many cases as possible. Just for curiosity, what have you ever been thinking about if this wouldn't happen to you, would you still make it to the top?
I think I probably would have been more successful had it not happened to me. I played 32 games for Liverpool. I could have played 332. I played 3 games for England international. I could have played 50 or 100. I genuinely believe, had I not had the problems I had, I would have been more successful.
For sure. So you came forward with your story along with many other athletes in 2016, right? Since then, what changes do you see in your environment, and what could you accomplish maybe in the UK or in the environment of football?
Well, within elite sports in the UK now, since 2016, there have been many changes. Football has made giant steps in terms of safeguarding the youngsters that are participating within football. Yeah. Unfortunately, you see, elite sports like the Premiership and the EFL, they have money where they're able to bring all these systems into place and pay for people to do that job. When you go down the pyramid, down to grassroots, which was where I started, or even moreover, you go into other sports that don't have the same financial sort of stability, then they can't afford to do it. Now, we're talking about children here. We're talking about children. So what price do you put on a child's safety? What price do you put on anything?
It's the weight of the gold, as they used to say.
Yeah,
it's like
it is. And you know what? And this is where I see it. The rewards for being an elite athlete now are so high, you know, in terms of monetary value. And a young footballer, if he makes it in the Premiership, not only is he wealthy, but he can also sustain his family and pay for them to live a life of luxury. Now that means then that parents will overlook what is actually happening to that child because of the rewards. And that's where we need to really have a wake-up call, in my opinion.
For sure. I just recently read an article on BBC that you had an interview with them in 4th of August. And there you mentioned that your course is now free course on safeguarding, because we're not talking about money in here.
No, it's monetary. Yeah, that was never my driving force.
For sure. So your free course is available for public now.
Yeah.
So if you can tell us more about the course and where people can access it to, and
the course is it's online. It's a safeguarding in sport, and what I've done is because of some colleagues I've known through the sporting world, famous colleagues in the UK. I didn't want it just to be about football, Sabi, because as I just said to you, football has come on leaps and bounds, but there are other sports. So what I decided to do was that I wanted it to incorporate all sports. So I asked for some of my colleagues, Gary Lineker, Brian Moore, Ian Poulter from golf. I've got Marilyn Okoro, who's a two-time Olympian, a swimmer. I wanted them to be involved in it because you, I'm sure, have done courses online, and we've all done them. But do we keep the information in? I'm not so sure we do, because we have to do them because it's part of our prerequisite. It's part of, if we want to do what we want to do, you have to do this. What I decided to do was bring videos in of famous people that can keep the attention of the person doing it. There's also videos on there from a documentary that I did called Football's Darkest Secrets, which I'm sure you can access over in Hungary or Poland through the English, I think it's BBC, and this then retains the person that's doing the course, because there's people that they recognise, and in between, I'm educating them. Sure. It's not like a course, because we've got survivors of abuse, from racial, from different types of abuse, because there are so many types of abuse. And I ultimately I wanted it to be a free course, because people need to really see and understand, and then educate themselves around what can happen if you don't do the right things, if you don't ask the right questions. Do you know what I mean? So that was the driving force behind the Safeguarding in Sport course.
So as it's available
to
now,
access it, Sabi, you just go on to www.highspeedtraining.com/sport, and you can take the course for free.
And so and this is about the topic we are discussing tonight with you, as about safeguarding, not just in football, but in the sports industry,
every sport arena. For sure. And it's not just about what happened to me and the abuse that happened to me. There's many forms of abuse, so it gives you, it has downloadable information. It gives you the necessary tools to be able to go back to your sporting organisation and work in the safe knowledge that the children are safe.
How did they people, close people to you, as you mentioned, few names like Gary Lineker or other people from well-known people from the sports world in the UK? How those people reacted on when you come along and you share?
To be honest with you, I can't thank them enough. I didn't have to. Do you know what? As soon as I contacted him, because they knew it was for the right reasons, there was no issue with, yes, Paul, I'll help you out. Gary Lineker did his part of it on the BBC Match of the Day set. I have a young lady called Kelly Cates, who is Kenny Dalglish's daughter, who works for Sky. She did her bit on the Sky Sports set, because they knew it was for the right reasons. I wasn't exploiting them. I was asking them, look, well, we're here, we're trying to protect young children. Who wouldn't do that? Who wouldn't do that?
For sure. So what would be your advice to people who are listening us right now, watching us in this episode of Game Changers, what would be the advice for parents, maybe young athletes?
Well, I'll tell you a story. I'll tell you a story, and this would probably, hopefully,
Coaches or leaders.
Yeah, but hopefully this will sum it up in terms of what I would like, and I call it start the conversation, right? I know of a scenario or a situation that happened with a rugby coach, and there was a parent, a father, who had two children, yeah, and he would take his children to rugby training every week. He would drive, open the door, drop them off, let them go. After a year of this father doing that with his two children, the coach walked up to the car, yeah, as he was dropping his children off.
Sure.
And he went, "Excuse me, can I have your car keys and your wallet with your money in?" So the parent looked at the coach and went, what are you talking about? He went, "No, I'd just like to have your car keys and your wallet." Well, once he'd said it the second time, the parent looked at him and he says, "Why are you saying that?" He said, "Well, do you know what? For 1 year, you have dropped your two children off. You've never asked who I am, what qualifications I've got, or anything, but you have dropped what are your most prized possessions of in the hands of somebody that you don't know. I asked for your car keys and wallet, and you won't give them to me."
I got
And
you.
I think
That's
for
a
me,
powerful point.
powerful, but Sabi, for me, it's like a few simple questions. Who do I speak to? Have you got a safeguarding policy? If so, is it accessible? Yeah. Who is your safeguarding officer? Can I have his or her contact details? And if I have a problem, how do I report it? Now, if we started just with them 3 steps, then I think we could build a culture of it becoming just the norm. And that's all I'm trying to, if I can get society just to start by doing that. But the UK in particular, people don't like to say it. They feel like if they ask, they're accusing somebody of saying you're doing something wrong. Well, that isn't the case. We're just asking what should be normal.
For sure.
Normalizing safeguarding.
Yeah, this is how it should be, not just in football, but as you mentioned, in many other. And it was
in all walks of life, in every walk of life.
Yeah. Because of course there's abuse exists in workplaces, unfortunately in homes, and in many other in many circumstances. My last question would be, I know that you have a big turning point in your life in terms of, when it happened to you, this abuse, and when you came along and all the stuff. But apart from this, what would you consider that your biggest turning point of your life? What because we obviously, the name of the podcast is Game Changers. You are definitely a game changer, not because of your, don't get me wrong, not because of your football career, but what you went through, and you made it through from that sad point and from that grief.
I think, Sabi, the answer to that for me is, look, I can't change the past. And many people sometimes dwell on the past. I can't change the past. That is a part of my life that I can't change. I have the opportunity and the platform to change the future.
For sure.
And for me, it's all about what I can do in the future. What can I do positive future, you know, in the future, rather than, because it'd be easy for me to sit at home and dwell on what happened to me, and it'd be negative, and it'd be a negative experience in my head. But rather than that, I go, no, what can I do to change the future? To try and do something positive that alters the future rather than dwell on the past. So for me, it's not about the past. I'll talk about the past, because talking about the past then gives me that platform to talk about what I can do in the future. So I'll always, you know, I often say when I wake up, I'm probably going to cry today because I'm going delivering a session, because I talk about my experience, how it affected my family. But I then go, if it changes one child's future and protects one child, then I'll get up and cry every day, 365 days a year. And that's how I process it.
For sure. Well, what can I say? Thank you very much for
My pleasure.
being here with us tonight, sharing your experiences from the football world, on, you know, from the sad moments to playing on a high level, and you know, you have a story. The reason I invited you to this podcast, because I want people from Hungary especially, but from all around the world watching and probably will listening us, to know that this is a serious topic, especially in the sport world, and they need to know about it. And I'm glad that you accepted my invitation. And I think that whoever is going to listen us or watching us, they could take away some key nuggets and information where what they can potentially use to change their environment, to make it safer and make it better. Because at the end of the day, this is the most important, because it's doesn't matter how much money you make when you can see people. I mean, talking about like sport words, or maybe in general, from households and people coming along, and they say that, you know, they've been abused mentally, physically, sexually, because it's happening all day.
Every
We're not
day,
talking
all
about it.
day.
It's out there. It's out there. And when you see especially an athlete who seems like so successful in front of the media, I never thought that when you when you give this presentation, I was like, okay, what are we gonna? But that probably that one of the best and one of the most powerful presentation I heard in my life in terms of in that topic. And people needs to hear this. And again, thank you very much for coming along and sharing your story with us. And thank you for your valuable time, Paul. I appreciate
My pleasure, Sabi.
And I'm hope that people who was or who are going to listen us and watching us, they will, because it's not going to be live. I mean, we're recording it now, and it will be played on 17th of September, because every episode we publish every episode on the 17th of each month. So this is going to be the next episode. So people who want to listen us, hope they can find it, and I will share the with the audience that you know.
I think I just need to readdress the course, and if people are happy with doing it in English, it's actually www.highspeedtraining.co.uk/, but
So
I think I left the .co.uk out.
.co.uk.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
yeah, I mean, again, yeah, I really appreciated your time, and it was a pleasure to meet you in real life. as well in Krakow in here. And hopefully in the future we can meet again, maybe in a conference or an event which related to sports or football. And I'm looking forward to hear about your work more in the future, and help to share your story with people.
Listen, Sabi, it's been my pleasure, and you stay in touch, and hopefully what we've done tonight may just change a few people's views, a few people's perception of what we need to do when we're working with children. It's all about the child. It's all about us being able to give that child the best experience we can. And that is more important than any medal, any international cap. And it's been a pleasure. And I'll talk to you soon.
Thank you very much. I'm
Thanks,
looking
Sabi.
forward to it.
Bye-bye.
Yeah, thank you.